Hey, what's happening, everybody? Hey, this is Jason. This is SIC-MADE Airbrushing coming at you guys. Hey, man, I welcome you guys to another episode. What's happening, you guys? Hey, man, so what I got for you guys today, man, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some troubleshooting, man, on my Iwata Airbrush guns. Usually all airbrushes work the same, man, but I'm going to talk about the insides and outs of these guns. These are my bottom feed Iwata Airbrush Eclipse guns, and also I got some Eclipse top feed guns. Okay, so if you have any issues with your airbrush guns, man, stay tuned to this, man. So let's just get right into it. Okay, so let's just ride. Let's just go with it, man. So I'm gonna talk about the ins and outs of this airbrush. Okay, so basically all the parts that are in here and all the troubleshooting concerns that I've dealt with personally, and that you might have other issues with. Okay, so I know there's a lot of troubleshooting videos out there, man, but this is my version of it, and I'm basically gonna tell you this how the ones that are most important that has happened to me are basically the most important ones that I know of that could happen. Okay, so let's just get right into it, man. Let's just start with the air. Okay, you got your compressor, you got your air going. I'm at high PSI. I usually keep my compressor down there around 65 to 70 or so, somewhere around there, real high, because I use a MAC valve. Okay, I got a water MAC valve, and I got it to a quick connect system. Okay, these are aftermarket. This is not a water quick connect. There's a female connection here to my MAC valve. That black piece there is my MAC valve, and a MAC valve, all a MAC valve is, guys, is an open and close valve. Okay, so that's all that is. So if you're ever having issues with your air flowing out, pop your hose out, pop all this stuff out, make sure air is flowing out of your air hose. Okay, so and this air hose is a water air hose that comes with the airbrush kit. It goes to a valve and it goes straight to my air compressor. Okay, so like I said, it's about 65 to 70 psi, and my MAC valve, I'm able to control how much air. Okay, and usually I can go by sound. Our pressure, and I usually, when I'm painting hard surfaces, I can control it from here and bring the air pressure down. Okay, so as for troubleshooting, this, it's just an open and close valve, man. So like I said, you can pop this off and basically open and close your valve. So if it's not opening and closing, if it's stuck closed and not opening, then you know you have an internal issue right here. Okay, or vice versa, if you're closing it and it's not closing, that valve is still putting pressure out. Okay, so that's the only part that I know of on the MAC valves. I never had that issue. It's just an open and closed valve. That's all it is. Pretty simple design. And then you got your quick connects. Okay, so on my quick connects, you have your female end that goes on your MAC valve, and then you have your male end that goes on your airbrush. Okay, these are aftermarket. Okay, so these are just quick connects. I love them. All right, I'll put a link in the description where you could get this setup, these things here, these male ends, or even the whole kit, man. Man, they're pretty cheap. They're under $10. I think they're under $10 or just a little over $10. Okay, but you just gotta buy that one female valve one time. And if you have multiple guns, you could get these male ends separately, and these run like I think under $3 a piece. Okay, so they're awesome to have. I used to have air hoses for all my guns, and then I said screw that. The Terry Hill setup. Love you, Terry Hill, but you know that whole setup is ages old, and you gotta keep up with the new stuff, man. But he kept up with the new stuff, and everybody else does. So the quick connects is the way to go. All right, so I'm gonna break it down in what you got in the airbrushes. Okay, so that's that part. Okay, that's the troubleshooting part, but I'm gonna go into the troubleshooting issues after I talk about the ins and outs of this gun. Okay, so but that's the ins and outs and the troubleshooting part of this MAC valve and in your air hose. Okay, like I said, guys, I use a water BCS bottom feed Eclipse guns, or not? Yeah, the BCS HP BCS. All right, and I know these guns inside out. Okay, I've used them all my life. I've taken them apart several times, and just basically, guys, you got to know your gun. You got to know your gun. It's just like if you own a handgun or a rifle or anything like that, man. Breaking the thing down and understanding how things work is going to better you at your troubleshooting. Okay, so just keep that in mind, guys. So you get an airbrush, get a cheap airbrush. They're all work the same, guys. Okay, they're just different setups, different part numbers, just the way everyone, different designs. Okay, so and usually what I got here, guys, I'm mention this real quick. On these male-in quick connects, there's a seal in here. Okay, there's a seal in there. I usually don't take these off. I usually don't even take anything in here apart. Okay, unless I'm really troubleshooting something internally. Okay, but anyways, real quick on these, man, that seal right there, I usually don't take it off because I run into this issue where that seal either gets pinched or just something happens. I don't know if it's because it's not a Iwata. I don't know what I think it's just the seal itself. But I've taken some off before, put them back on, and I couldn't get no air out. Okay, so that's one troubleshooting part there. All right, but I don't usually take this off. Okay. But anyway, so let's get into the internal parts of the airbrush. Okay, so now you have a troubleshooting issue with here, or concern that you might have with the quick connect. So that one way to do that would be just to do away with your quick connect, put your hose directly on it, and see if you have air. Okay, then that's when you're gonna know it's your quick connect. Okay, so internally on the hey guys, I just want to pause real quick. I just want to let you guys know that all the parts that I'm going to be mentioning in this whole video, man, they're going to be, just look down in the description. I'll put some links to them, and also, man, I'm going to break down this whole airbrush. So this maintenance kit right here. This Iwata professional airbrush maintenance tool set, man, it's real good to have, man. So looking to get into something like that, man, for your put that in your arsenal. They run about $80 or so plus tax. From where I get my stuff from Midwest Airbrush Supply, and yeah, man, just check it out. So you have a valve body that screws in. All this stuff screws in. Okay, you have a spring in here, and then you have your valve. Okay. And all that valve does basically is you have your guide, your valve body in here, and your valve goes up, and then you have your spring that goes with it. Okay, so basically it keeps it makes it go up and down. Okay, so it's an open and close trigger. Okay, this has nothing to do with it. It's just an open and close. Okay, and it's not much. Okay, it's not like it's you know what I'm saying. It's like a Schrader valve, man, on a tire. Okay, I don't know if you guys ever taken the Schrader valve out. It's the same thing, guys. That's all it is in here. The system is closed. Nothing can get in it. Okay, so you have your valve body in here. You got your valve, and you got a spring in here, and then you have a seal that's up top here. Okay, now we're gonna go into the trigger part of it. Then you got your trigger. Okay, your trigger goes in, and then you got your needle guide. You have a spring in here too to let that thing pop back in place, right? Okay, there's a spring in here. That's your needle guide, and then that's about it on that part of it, man. This chamber here is not a whole lot of troubleshooting part. Besides if your needle is sticking. Okay, if I pull back like this, okay, and it sticks right there, then there's something in here that's either paint got in there, or basically usually it's paint, or the spring is broke, or this part right here, man, is I've never ran into stuff like that has broken or anything like that. Okay, so now you got your needle, right? You got your needle, you got your holder. Tighten that part down. It holds your needle in place where you can bring it back, and it open and close the needle, okay, at the head. Okay, so now we're gonna go deeper in here. This is just a chamber now. Okay, just a chamber. That's all we're doing, or this is all we're talking about here. That's just a protective cap. That's all this is too. A protective cap for your needle. Okay, and you're able to pull back if you need to on your needle, on that part of it. That's why it's open like that, okay? And usually a lot of airbrushes are like that. I got an older one here that, this is actually my HP C. That is a closed chamber, so that's an old gun. That gun right there is probably 20 years old. So anyways, we go in here and we got a chamber, right? We got a chamber here, it's open, where your needle goes, okay? Then you got your feed here that goes to the bottle. We're gonna talk, this is a main part of this whole deal too. That goes to the bottle, right? So make sure all this is cleared out. This is a chamber. Then you got your airbrush head, okay? You got your airbrush head. Check out the schematic right here, guys. It usually where you buy your gun at, guys, is you're gonna find where you could get different parts, where you get your parts for it, okay, if they sell them, okay. Usually Iwata is really good about having parts for everything, okay, because everything's an issue in your gun, okay. It could be a troubleshooting problem, okay. So they're gonna have parts for everything. They're gonna have all these valve guide, valve body, valve. They're gonna have all these seals that are in here. They're gonna have all these parts in the schematic. Pause if you have to look at the schematic, but it breaks it all down, okay. So this is just your cap head, okay. That's all that is. This is your cap head. This is your head right here, okay, of the airbrush. Then you got your, inside your head here is you have your nozzle, okay, and then your needle that goes through the nozzle, okay. That, your head is just to basically secure your nozzle, okay. So if this is loose, that nozzle could just move a little bit, okay. It actually won't move up and down or sideways. It'll move forward and back, okay. So then you're gonna lose air pressure, okay. So you'll have an issue with that. So just make sure that's just hand tight, guys. You know, you don't got to crank on this. You don't want to strip the threads, and you have a seal that's in between here, okay. There's a seal. I'll break it down just real quick, okay. But there's a seal right here, and that seal is important, but it's not as important. If it fails, basically all you're gonna do is you're gonna lose air pressure, okay. So you're gonna lose air pressure. There's your nozzle here. This nozzle is actually hung up by my needle, okay. So your nozzle goes here, goes there. It's on my needle right now, and then your cap goes on, okay, to secure your needle, okay. So that's all that is, okay. As for your it's just a cap head. You got your nozzle, and then you got your cap head part, okay. Your needle cap, okay, and then you have a protective shield cap, okay, that just basically protects your nozzle, and it protects your needle, okay. So that's breaking that down, man. Remember, just you guys gotta get out. You gotta get your airbrushes, okay. Get your airbrushes and break them down and start understanding how it works and all the parts that are in it. When you do that, man, you're gonna have a better success at troubleshooting your gun, okay. So that's on that right there, man. And my Eclipse guns, they're just the same gun, man. It's the same gun, but now I have top feed, okay. So that's basically it on that. All right, it's the same setup, okay. So now, so the troubleshooting parts that I have problems with, okay, is your bottle, okay. This is one that I would check first, okay. I would check your paint first, okay. That would actually be my first thing. Check your paint that's in your bottle and see if there's any chunks in it or anything like that. Because when you get chunks, guys, like I said, man, that dry paint or whatever it is that causes the chunks in those paints, man, it's gonna get sucked up at one point, and it's gonna cause a restriction. So you want to make sure that hose is cleaned out. Make sure that the passageway through your cap is cleaned out. There's a vent hose here. That vent hose has to be cleared out, man, because you're pulling vacuum, guys, on the paint system, right? When you got air pressure, okay, coming through. This is why I like to paint on my bottom feed. I like to paint a high PSI, man. I'm usually around 55, between 55 and 65 PSI. Okay, I'm kind of wide open, man. So the suction, okay, when the air pressure is going through there, it's pulling a good vacuum. Okay, that's all it is. It's pulling a vacuum through your bottle, okay, through that hose. And if that hole there, that breather, that vent, basically that vent hole, if it's clogged up, man, you ain't gonna get no paint. Okay, when vacuum is occurring, okay, it's got to have release point at the top. It's got to have that release point where it's easy to flow out. Okay, so and that's why I always I always keep toothpicks. I usually can't even talk. Keep toothpicks around because I'll stuff it down that hole right there when I'm just letting them sit, just like this. I just let them sit, so that hole doesn't get clogged up. Okay. And even though I put that on there, I still check it. I still want that to be free. Okay, that's a main point in a troubleshoot in the troubleshooting part of this. Okay, so the troubleshooting part is basically I'm starting with my bottle. I'm starting with making sure the bottle is cleaned out, making sure that my vent hose is clean, the passageway through my cap. You know, everything is cleaned out really good. Make sure your paint doesn't have any chunks or any kind of breakdown from dried up paint, stuff like that. That will be, you know, you don't think about that stuff. I'm gonna tell you right now, man. Back in the day when I first started, man, two things that got me discouraged about keeping airbrushing. Okay, because I didn't know better. I didn't have YouTube or anything like that. Okay, was my paint reduction. I didn't understand paint reduction, and I didn't understand the troubleshooting parts of what could happen. Okay, and my main troubleshooting problems was right here. It was right here because I didn't understand how it worked. I didn't understand the vacuum. I didn't understand the vent holes. I didn't understand all that stuff. Okay, you understand that. You understand reduction, and you understand your bottle and your paint. You know, you're gonna have better success at troubleshooting what you got. Okay, so that's one thing right there. Okay, so when you're cleaning your gun out, guys, make sure that chamber right here is cleaned out. Make sure this chamber is cleaned out. Make sure you got a good slide on your trigger. And okay, and so let's just get to the next one. Okay, so the next one will be the main part will be on the tip part of it. Okay, so and at the end of this, guys, stay to the end of this, man, because you're gonna flip out, man. Because I was actually troubleshooting this gun with Iwata, with the technical side of Iwata, man. I was going back and forth with them, and I actually ended up. They gave me a new one. They gave me another one. So because they couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't figure it out. Okay, but then I ended up figuring it out. Okay, but anyways, let's keep going with this. So the main part of this whole tip part of this, okay, the main part is the nozzle, guys. Okay, that nozzle is so small. Okay, it's so small. Any kind of paint, any kind of dry paint that's in there will clog that up and cause a restriction. Okay, or cause it to not blow out paint like it should. Okay, so that part needs to be cleaned out. I used to take my needle and back it out. Okay, I used to back it out just because the way I had my setup, if it fell, I would damage my needle. Okay, so but then I'm just like, okay, if it falls, I'm gonna damage my nozzle. Okay, so that's what ended up happening. I actually ended up leaving my needle in. Okay, let me get shit. I left my needle in, right, and it dropped and I damaged my needle. Okay, so this is another troubleshooting issue. What ends up happening when you damage that needle, you're gonna damage that nozzle. That nozzle is made of brass. Okay, so it's real soft. Okay, so when you damage that, man, or even if the needle is out, you know what I'm saying, and it falls, man, you're gonna smash that thing, dude. I'm telling you right now, I've ran into situations where air wasn't coming out, where paint wasn't flowing, it would split, you know what I'm saying? It was split or anything like that. That's a main concern if you have everything else right, paint reduction, everything else right, and you're still not getting no flow out, man, that right there is your main concern. Okay, so my point was earlier, I caused another troubleshooting issue because when I would pull my needle out, paint would dry up. Paint would dry up in my nozzle. Okay, and it would cause. And when I put my needle back in, if I let it sit for, just to say, a couple of weeks, you know, some paints that I don't use for a while, right? Paint would dry up right there, and then when I put my needle back, my needle either would not go all the way in, or it wouldn't even go through. Okay, because that tip right there is small, man. This is a 0.5 millimeter nozzle, but when you get into your more detail, like a micron or even my clipses that are 0.35, That's a small ass hose, man. Small ass hose. That's a small hole, okay? That's a small hole to go through, so paint will build up. So what I usually do, guys, and what I ended up doing was going ahead and buying a sharpen air tool. Okay, I bought this sharpen air tool. Okay, you can get them at any place where you get your guns or whatnot, man. They sell them everywhere. Look it up, sharpen air tool. So anyways, I would fix my needle, but I would also, what I ended up doing was buying an extra one or two. I usually keep 2 or 3 nozzles of spare parts, okay? Because this is a main concern here, man. You know what I mean? I have multiple of these guns here, but you know, my eclipses and stuff. If something goes wrong, man, and I know it's a nozzle, I have the parts for it and I put it on. Okay, so even though that these are different nozzles than those, you know, just keep a spare part or 2 around, man. That'll help you out. But that's a main concern there. So just remember, man, don't leave your needle out, because that's actually bad. Because 1, if it falls, you're gonna damage your nozzle. 2, you're gonna make paint clog up in there, cause another troubleshooting issue. Okay, and then keeping your chamber clean, keeping all this clean. Okay, making sure paint is flowing. If you want to check that, pop everything off, and then just, you know, give it some air, and all that should blow right out. Okay, look inside of it, make sure there's no paint buildup, making sure the chamber's clean. Okay, also what causes problems here on the trigger is paint buildup. Okay, if you ever have paint inside this chamber here and you have your gun sit up like this, okay, paint's gonna drop back and get into that valve right there and and dry up, and it's gonna cause a stickiness. It won't let the valve move. It'll be hard. Okay, so there's not much movement there. There ain't much movement there, but it won't have no movement. Okay, if anything. Okay, make sure this is all lubed up and don't have no crud, no paint in there. Make sure that's free. Okay, usually, man, I have never come across. The main parts of my troubleshooting has been the bottle and the tip part of it, the nozzle, okay? And also that part, the trigger part, but that's the easy part. I've never had any issues in here in the chamber, okay, on my valve body. I never had that seal. Usually I hear people on that seal right there on top of this valve inside go bad. It usually gets pinched, or it just gets damaged, right? So, and it causes either no air coming out or anything like that. Okay, it's a longer video than I thought, guys. But I'm just trying to break it down for you guys, for you upcoming artists, man, that are new to this, man. And that's basically what this video is for, man. Is for you upcoming artists. I've actually got some comments below on my other videos, man, that, you know, I'm having issues with paint flow and reduction and air coming out, and using cheap guns, basically using cheap guns too. So, you know, if you're gonna do this, guys, if you think you're gonna get into airbrushing, and this is what I mentioned to one of my subs, it was basically, you know, if you're gonna get into this, man, get you something decent. You know what I mean? If you know you're gonna be painting, get you something decent and invest in that gun. And if you think you want to try different guns and see how they work and what's best for you, then do that. But the good guns, this is expensive, man. These kits run from $116 to the $130. That's just for the bottom feed. The other ones that are cheaper, you know, so, you know, you're still looking about $100 with tax, you know what I'm saying, for a decent Iwata gun. I don't know what other ones cost. I know, like the Vega, actually the Badger 2000, the Vega 2000, 3000, and the Omni. Those are inexpensive guns, and they're good guns. You know what I'm saying? They're good guns. I just stuck with Iwata, and I've always had an Iwata. Like I said, man, I knew I was going to do this for a living, or, you know, continue to do this for the rest of my life. So this is the gun I like, and this is what I'm going to get. This is what I have. You know what I'm saying? So, and know the ins and outs of these guns, guys. Just know the ins and outs of these guns. So I could keep going on and on about that, guys. You know what I'm saying? Just find what works for you and just roll with it, man. Like I said in the beginning, just understand how things work. You understand how things work, you're going to be better at troubleshooting your stuff, man, okay? So I'm not saying, you know, do the stuff that I'm doing as for air pressure and stuff like that. But usually, man, on bottom feed stuff, man, go a little high on the PSI, man. Find something that's good for you. Maybe do what I do, you know, put it at high pressure, you know, between 55 and 65 on the compressor side, and get you a MAC valve. Get you a MAC valve. But I'm telling you, the bottle. Oh, shoot. God, they almost dropped it again. God. Oh Lord. A brand new gun too. This is brand new, man. Anyways. God, I lost my train of thought, guys. So hopefully this helped you out, man, on that right there. If there's any comments, any questions, man, put them in the comment section, man, and let me know. I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to do my best to help you guys on this part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't have any other guns, so I can't explain any other guns, but they all work the same. They all work the same, just like any automotive gun. They all work the same. You know, you got air and you got paint, okay, and you got vacuum, okay. So all those, it's gotta work properly, okay. All right, so. All right, we're getting close to the end, guys. I promise. My main problem, guys, the problem that Iwata had with me, or did have with me, that couldn't basically figure this gun out. I actually sent my gun to them. Okay, after going back and forth with them, they told me to go ahead and send me their gun. They gave me a new one. They sent my old one, and they gave me a new one. They gave me this new one. Okay, that's what ended up happening. Okay, so. So going back and forth with Iwata on the troubleshooting part, man, I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? I ended up rebuilding that gun that I had. That's why they gave me another gun, okay? I ended up putting the valve body in, the spring. I put, you know, I had all that built in there. I put a new nozzle. I did a new nozzle in the new chambers that are inside here, okay? And those chambers, they're not that valve body is like $30-something, man, okay? And all these pieces, they're not cheap, man. So when you start replacing stuff, you know what I mean? All these little parts, man, they add up basically to the whole damn gun, right? So anyways, so I took everything apart, man. I took everything apart, replaced the nozzle, replaced the valve body. I cleaned it out really good, cleaned the chamber out, cleaned all this, cleaned my bottle. I put a brand new bottle on it. Brand new bottle with some cleaner in it. And I broke all this down, took the head off, cleaned it all off, made sure my damn nozzle was good, cleaned my nozzle out, everything was flowing through it, there was no dents or nothing like that. I'm like, what the hell is going on here, man? You know, and I know I have a bunch of guns, but when I'm down a gun and it's just sitting there, you know what I'm saying? It pisses me off. It pisses me off because I could be using that gun, right? And I'm having to deal with it, and I'm dealing with Iwata back and forth, you know, on the tech side of things, email, you know what I mean? And then I got on the phone with them, too. I got on the phone with them and everything, man. So anyways, when they got the gun, they couldn't figure it out. So, so what ended up happening, guys, you know what I'm saying? And it ended up being the damn cap, guys. It ended up being the cap. So anyways, I'm going to show you airflow on this gun. Okay. You got it wide open. Okay. Not a lot of air. I got my compressor just started. Okay, air. Okay, cap is on, everything's tight. Okay. Everything's tight on it. I'm going to pop that cap off. And I think this is the old one. If it's not, I'm sorry. But I think I kept it. And the cap is the same thing, man. It's just, it blew my mind. Okay? Pop that on. Snug. You hear that? So that was my issue. It was barely any air coming out. But at first, when I kept messing with it, there was nothing. It was like it was backfeeding. It was backfeeding to my bottle, and paint was blowing out my vent hole. Okay, so there's something in this cap, you guys, that goes bad. I don't know. So anyway, comment down below, man. Comment down below. And if you ran into this before, more power to you. But you understand? So I wasn't getting no airflow. Okay. So anyway, that was my hardest troubleshooting I've ever done, and the only reason I found out is because I loosened the cap and I tried it, and air was flowing out good. So when I tightened it up, that part that's tapered in here, it's a tapered. If you pull this cap off on these Iwata, if you got one, it's tapered in there. Okay, it's just tapered. But anyways, guys, you know, that's what I ran into. That was my main troubleshooting problem. So if you ever have any issues like that where you went through your complete setup, you know what I'm saying, and pop that first, just pop that off and blow some air and see if it goes. All right, man. So I hope that helped you guys out, man. I know this was way long, but this is a complete troubleshooting of this gun and understanding. Okay. One thing I did forget though, man, on the top feeds. On the top feeds, when you sit these guns down, you know, these have that vent hole on top, man. So make sure that's clean. Make sure that vent hole is clean. If you don't use caps, that's cool too. But if you do, it's basically preventive from spilling over on your project, right? If you have a lot of paint, okay. But anyways, sit them down. When you sit them down with paint, make sure they're in an angle, okay? Because what ends up happening, man, you sit them like this. Paint's gonna drip down here and go on that chamber there, and you're gonna have trigger issues, okay? So just remember that too. So if you have trigger issues where you can't get that valve to open and close, it's because there's paint in there, man. So what you wanna do is clean it out real good, put you some lube on top of that, work that trigger out, and you're good to go. But anyways, keep them like this, because what I end up doing when I'm working on projects, it might be the next day when I get onto it. I usually go an hour and a half on one project and go to something else and do something else, come back the next day, and I leave paint in these things, man. So when I do, I leave my guns like this, okay? And then I put a toothpick right here so it doesn't dry out, okay? So that's how I do it. So just remember that on the top feed guns, okay? Okay, you guys, so that's it for this video, man. I hope you guys got something out of this video, man. I know it was a longer video. I apologize for that, man, but it's just all about, you know, I'm trying to explain to you upcoming artists, man, that are trying to buy an airbrush or get a new airbrush or get a better airbrush. You know, a name brand airbrush is always the way to go if you're going to continue to do this, man. I really, that's my opinion. That's my opinion, guys. So, you know, I've always wanted Iwata guns for a lot of reasons. And I wanted to know just this one model, maybe two, maybe three models of Iwata, and know the insides outs of them, man. So I have a better understanding how it works. So when you know how it works, and knowing that it's just not the airbrush that could be the problem, that it could be your bottle too, man. So, you know, you gotta understand too. I got these big mouth Iwata big mouth bottles, and I love them. I love them. So I have no issues with these bottles. They clean out good. They don't fall out. You know what I'm saying? Like some people put rubber bands on their bottoms. Like I've never had that problem. Never had that problem where the bottle will fall out. You know what I mean? It just never have. So anyways, guys, you know, I hope that if you guys have any questions, any comments, man, you know what I mean, put them down below, man. And till next time, guys, you guys take care out there. Be nice to people, man. You know, this world's kind of messed up right now, but we still got to be positive and be positive towards other people, man. You know, we're just all human, man. We're all trying to get by and do our thing. All right, guys, take care out there. Peace.